morning, everybody. Nice, quiet Friday show, this one. Not really too much to talk about, apart from Dan Ashworth taking Newcastle to arbitration because he is done. He's had enough of waiting, and he's trying to force the issue. And also Marcus Rashford saying enough is enough when it comes to abuse. Blacked out his Twitter profile picture with just a black circle. We're going to speak through both of those. Also, today, it's the last day before we play Burnley. So we're going to have the live starting 11 of the Burnley game later on in the show. We're also going to speak about Dougie Freedman, head of recruitment, Eric Ten Hag, kicking journalists out, refusing to speak to them, Ineos cancelling a ton of free stuff that the club has been doing, giving out to people. It is a busy show lined up today. And it's map day. So we'll get the map up later on in the show. Can I just say one more time? I think I know how to fix the issue after this now. I hope so. But again, Facebook chat isn't working. I've restarted the computer, did all the things, but I've got one more idea that I probably should have done before the show, but I've only just remembered now. Oh well. So I apologise. Anybody on Facebook, if you're watching, just go youtube.com/United People's TV. Come and join on the live show here, and you can comment then. Indeed, Ian, it is a quiet day. I mean, this is why it's Manchester United, man. First of all, never a dull moment. B, just the scale and the size of our club. If we didn't have these news shows every day, it'd be kind of hard to keep up. Hard to keep up on everything that's going on. Who's here from the member gang? Good morning to everybody. Ross, good morning to you. Joe, we've got David, Robert, Brian, Andrew, and Teclom. Who's here from the mod gang? We've got Vicky, good morning to you. I can see you there. We've got Alex, we've got Ian, and I saw you there too. Carl as well. Plenty of you tuning in, as always. I'd expect nothing less. It's going to be a nice quiet one today. Yeah? Not too many talking points to really run through. Now, I'm going to start the show today by speaking about what I personally think is the biggest story. And that's Dan Ashworth, right? I'll speak about Marcus Rashford next and everything that's gone on there. But in terms of, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way to Marcus Rashford, but Manchester United getting Dan Ashworth in as our sporting director is the most important thing. And it's the most important talking point. Now, with Dan Ashworth, quick summary of everything that's happened so far. Man United chose him as the number one target for sporting director role. He then handed in his resignation. He was placed on gardening leave, and he's been on gardening leave, I think. Was it February? Let's have a quick look. Newcastle place Ashworth on gardening leave. I think it was in February. So look. 19th of February. There you go. I thought I was right. Newcastle placed sporting director Dan Ashworth on gardening leave. And that was on the 19th of Feb. So we are 2 months on. And no resolution. All of this has been based around the fact that Newcastle have put an unreasonable request of £20 million for Manchester United to cancel the gardening leave and for Dan Ashworth to join Man United, right? And the reason I've always felt it's unreasonable is because it's not relative. It's not relative to the money he earned, which I believe was in the region of £1 to £2 million per year. Remember, by the way, if you want to get comparisons here, we offered Southampton a year of Jason Wilcox's salary so he could start immediately. And they said no. But 1 year is what they asked for. Not what they asked for, what they rejected. So by comparison, that would mean Manchester United offering pretty much what we offered. £2 million to Newcastle would be around about a year of Dan Ashworth's salary. But Newcastle were asking for 10 years worth of his salary. That's where it became unreasonable, and that's where this has now come into the situation. Arbitration. Right? Dan Ashworth's had enough. Man United have had enough. And what we're doing now is we're taking it to arbitration. If you don't know what arbitration is, I thought I'd pull up the definition. A procedure in which a dispute is submitted by agreement of the parties to one or more arbitrators. Basically, it's bringing in a third party. They then look at all... I mean, you do get the court of arbitration. I don't know whether this is the... Oh, look. Before, instead of going to court. So this isn't the court of arbitration, but that is something that's involved in football, isn't it? Well, I can't remember when they get involved. Anyway, it's basically bringing in a third party. Newcastle aren't backing down. 20 million. Unreasonable. Man United aren't moving up enough that Newcastle consider it a compromise. I think we put in around about... There's more information inside the article, which I'll run through here. But this is a very interesting development. So arbitration is a third party who's neutral, who look at the evidence and go, right, okay, based on all of this, here's the decision. I don't know. Anybody working law in the comments? Do both parties have to... I'm presuming they do. Both parties have to agree to go into, do an arbitration process. But sometimes this is what happens in disputes. All right. Somebody's gifted 5 memberships down there. Is that Miles? I've got some surprises today. Thank you, dude.
Good morning. Good morning. Hello.
That's the best thing Casemiro's done this season. Sorry, Casemiro, for doing that. But see what you're saying down here in the comments. Ian, you're saying they both do have to agree to go into it. So I mean, it could well be that Newcastle say no, and then it just becomes even more. I don't know. Let's read through the article, right? Let's read through the article. Dan Ashworth is set to take Newcastle to arbitration in an attempt to force through that move to United. Telegraph Sport reported on Tuesday remain at least £13 million apart on the compensation, on how much United are offering and how much Newcastle are asking for. He's been placed on gardening leave since February. We already know that. With discussions haven't hit a deadlock, and remember that Jim Ratcliffe went and spoke to Amanda Staveley directly. I don't know if you know what her role is. I think she's like is she like the chairman? I don't really know what the chairman is. But anyway, that didn't lead to a breakthrough. And I'll be honest, I think United are lowballing it. I'm not sitting with completely red-tinted specs. Newcastle have been demanding around 15 million plus 5 in add-ons for Ashworth. Mate, he's not some sort of 26-year-old central midfielder. He's a sporting director. I'd be interested to know this. Apparently, Amanda Staveley is the co-owner. I don't know why anybody would know this in the comments. What's the most that anybody has paid for a director of sorts? Or somebody to work behind the scenes, whether it's a head of recruitment or a CEO or I don't know, CFO or whatever it is, CEO. What's the most that any football team has ever ever paid for somebody in that sort of realm? Because it's certainly not 20 million. I've got no idea there, if I'm being completely honest. Because these sort of conversations, it feels like it just feels like it's more prevalent in the modern game. I'm sure this sort of stuff happened behind the scenes, but I don't know. No idea. No, Donny, you're saying that Arno Slot going to Liverpool. That's, I think, Liverpool offered 8.5 mil. And I'm not really talking about managers. Managers per se, I can understand managers, right? They're the front, they're the face, they're the head of the team. I think managers having release clauses makes perfect sense. Managers paying fees for managers you want to bring over, that makes perfect sense. Whereas directors on this level is a mad one. Charlie, if Ashworth wins the Ballon d'Or, you'll owe Newcastle 2.5 mil. If he makes 40 appearances next season, if he scores 6 goals. Anyway, it's quite, well, you laugh, it's not really funny. But as I said, I think United have been lowballing this. United have been proposing compensation around the £2 million mark, similar to the fee Newcastle paid, and less than the £4 million reported. Now, I've spoken about that before as well. 20 million is extortionate. And I think the fact that United and Ashworth would be willing to take this to arbitration shows confidence. And to me, from a completely non-legal perspective on the outside, and trying to be as objective as possible and remove my red-tinted specs, if Ashworth's on 1 to 2 million per year, he's handed in his resignation, he wants to join somebody else, to then ask for a compensate, because it won't be, this is the thing, there's obviously not something built into Dan Ashworth's contract saying that if you leave and if you go and join another club, they're going to have to pay 20 mil. There's probably something written inside that contract which doesn't have a number associated next to it. And Newcastle are putting a number of 20 mil next to it, which is 1,000% rough, thereabouts. I'm sure I can't get the exact percentages, but say he earns 2 mil, that's 1,000% they're asking. 10 years salary to cut a gardening period short, which seems extortionate. And the fact that United are going down this, I say United's going down this route, I hadn't really thought about that. I suppose I can. It's Dan Ashworth's contract, isn't it? So it has to be Dan Ashworth that takes Newcastle to arbitration, because he's the one that's stuck on gardening leave. He's the one who the contract is, he's held to that contract. But this is a big development. I don't think it's going to lead to anything swift or quick. Thought about it for a while. I've thought it for a while, sorry, and I'm sure you have as well. Very unlikely that Ashworth's involved in United's summer transfers. Ashworth's going to be further down the line. But the fact that he is taking it let's find out. Let's see what he's saying down here in the comments. And Ian, he's saying it's more likely it's a notice period. He either works it, sits in his garden, or he gets brought out. This isn't exclusive to football. No, I said this isn't. That's nothing. None of this is exclusive to football. And Jim Ratcliffe complaining and saying it's a problem in football. It's just that's part of corporate business. Headhunted. If you get headhunted by one company to go into another company, it's very likely that your contract means that you have to sit for 6 months here, not working for anyone. I mean, which suits you, unless you're Dan Ashworth and you want to start straight away with Manchester United. Akash saying United need to stand firm. As I said, I think Newcastle are the ones that are acting the most silly here, demanding 20 mil. But I also think that United are lowballing and going in with 2 mil. I think it's not as crazy as the other way around. But if Brighton really did pay £2 million if Newcastle did pay £2 million to Brighton, then I think doubling that to 4 mil feels pretty reasonable. I think going in with the same amount, I don't know. I think that's lowballing, which is kind of pissing them off. Alex is saying this will be due to the non-compete clause and how long it runs for. Of course, that's exactly what the gardening leave is there for. The gardening leave effectively is the non-compete clause, right? And most businesses, most companies like that will have non-compete clauses, isn't it? Otherwise, you can just leave straight away, go to a competitor, say, "Wow, I've just learned a ton over the last 2 years. Let's take you back up there." That's not going to happen. I'm interested to see how this develops, but I think it's a good show that Ashworth is doing it. Right? It's a good show that Ashworth is doing it. Shows that he's bored, he's had enough. Shows that he's confident enough that he can win the case, otherwise he wouldn't do it. Right? But I don't know what happens next, and I don't know how long it's going to take. But I don't expect Dan Ashworth to be involved in anything to do with this summer. I think I got it slightly wrong. Remember when I was speaking about Dan Ashworth's notice period? I thought it ended in November. I thought it was like a 9-month notice period, but maybe the notice period and the gardening leave are two different things. Potentially. I've no idea. Either way, Dan Ashworth wants it. He's already resigned, and now he's taking Newcastle to arbitration. Let me go. That's what he's saying. And let's move on to the talking point, which I think a lot of you want me to speak about this morning. Marcus Rashford. Yeah, I know that. I think the gardening leave is significantly longer than the notice period. I think they are two different things. But anyway, Marcus Rashford. I'm not really sure where to start with this one, if I'm being completely honest. I was thinking about it quite a lot. What I'm gonna try and do in this video is just present everything that's happened. We'll have a little conversation about it as a community, and I'm gonna try and strip my opinion back, and I'm gonna do a lunchtime video on it because I think it's going to be difficult for me to articulate everything I would like to articulate about Marcus Rashford in this conversation live. Gear, you're saying Sam United needs Ashworth for the summer. Well, I don't think we're going to have him, dude. We've got Wilcox in. Barada, I believe, is going to be starting. I thought Barada starts on the 1st of July. I think it's mid-July, actually. And Brailsford. And they're going to have to piece it together. And maybe, by the way, there could be a head of recruitment, but I don't know whether that's going to happen before Ashworth. All right? But Marcus Rashford. Late last night on Twitter, and I think that is probably the first thing I've thought about this, was the time of this message. Marcus Rashford quote tweeting somebody on Twitter saying, "I appreciate your support. It is abuse and has been for months. Enough is enough." And I think that's the first thing I saw when I saw that. I was like, he's tweeting that at 12:30, like half midnight. Seems like a strange thing to do. Not a strange thing to do, but that's a sort of that feels like it's more of a reaction to do it at that time. And maybe I'm looking into that too much. But Rashford has since deleted his Twitter profile photo. And yeah. I want to know where you all stand. And I'm going to ask you here in the comments. I'm going to do a poll, all right? Do you think... I'm not asking you whether you think Rashford should be sold and booted out of the club. I'm saying, do you think Rashford will be a United player next season? Right? Yes or no? And as I said, that question, that poll is more directed to the point, to the fact that, do you think United will sell him if the right offer comes in? Jay, you're saying deleting the profile. Sorry, one second, I've got a cough. That's better. Jay, you're saying deleting the profile picture is odd. He's too old for that. No, I think it's just it's indicative of where Marcus Rashford is right now. And I think, well, this is only the latest example of it, but when it comes to Belfast and what happened there, Marcus Rashford, who is completely happy and in his right mind at Manchester United, wouldn't have done that. But he did. I'm going to try and read. See, Steve, there's a comment you put there, which I think is an interesting talking point. Very interesting. In fact, it is the talking point. And you said this. You said, "What's the abuse? All I've seen is fair criticism." And that's the main question I want to ask you here this morning, right? Because at what point does criticism become abuse, in your opinion? Because criticism is fair. I always try and say that it's constructive. There's no point just shouting at someone. That's not going to help them improve, is it? Might make you feel better, but it won't really help them. I would say constructive criticism is better. It's like, mate, like what? You scored 30 goals last year. Like, where is your form, Con? And then trying to figure out the reasons why. But at what point? So that Edwich and Sandman, you're both saying there, criticism becomes abuse when it gets personal. And you're saying it becomes abuse when it has no basis in reality and it's formed purely to cause harm. But I do feel that, like, for example, Man United played Sheffield United, right? Marcus Rashford didn't start. And, well, we know we won 4-2. We played pretty well in the first half. Overall, we should have finished. Garnacho should have had a couple of goals. Then I look at some of the discourse I see after that game. And instead of talking about Garnacho or Anthony or anybody else who started, quite a lot of the discourse I saw was around, not a lot, maybe that's a bit unfair, but just some of the discourse I saw was around, look how great we play without Rashford. So and that there, in my opinion, is like, you're not even talking about the players who are playing, you are talking about the players who aren't playing. Like, what on earth has that got to do with it? Which for me sounds a bit strange. That's where you sort of you twist the conversation back towards where the kind of focus point that you want to speak about. And I thought that was a bit weird. But truth be told, Marcus Rashford has not helped himself in any way, shape or form with his form this season. His head's just... I mean, it doesn't take a body language expert or a psychiatrist to be able to say that Marcus Rashford is carrying more of a burden, and we don't know what that burden is, all right? Whether it's personal, whether it's just the pressure of the United shirt weighing down, which, you know, it does, heavier than pretty much every other shirt. Well, it's a combination of both. There's some other things too. It's he's just not there. Rob, you tell it, that's kind of what he looks. It's not that he looks disinterested, but to be an elite sports person. I'm not sure if you saw that interview with Anthony Gordon on The Athletic. In fact, I might even try and pull a clip of this up, because I think it's quite prevalent in just what we're talking about here with Marcus Rashford, and when it comes to being an elite sports person. Because it's not easy. To become a Premier League footballer, you're already in the top 1% of footballers in the country. To be an elite Premier League footballer, you have to get into the top 1% of the 1%. What's that? 0.001 of all footballers in the UK to be an elite Premier League footballer. And you therefore, you have to sacrifice a few things. You have to live the life. Where is it? Let me pull it up here. This, I thought, was an interesting one. It's actually a really fair point to bring up here, I think. One sec. I was really impressed by this. I didn't actually realise. One sec. So this is Anthony Gordon speaking to Gary Neville on the overlap, and he speaks about sort of his preparation for games and how he gets himself ready, right? And just have a listen to this.
Well, how do you prepare for a match then, in terms of bringing those thoughts together to make sure that you're in that tunnel absolutely ready to go?
So my preparation for a match will start 2 days before. I have like fully set, 3 days will be set out to the minute.
I thought that was only me.
No, that is me as well. I try not to think too much about the game, but it's more so I do a lot of meditation, visualisation, a lot of goals.
Visualising what's going to happen in the game?
Yeah,
or?
so that if a chance comes, I feel like I've already lived it.
And in terms of what 2 days before you start visualising what the game is that your opponent as well, or is that just your particular game?
Anyway, we don't need to listen to that whole part there, but it's just more to the fact that Anthony Gordon there is speaking about how, in his mind, the preparation for a game starts 2-3 days before, getting yourself mentally, physically ready, and the commitment that you have to do to be an elite footballer is a full-time job. It's not just train, play, do what you want in between. And I do think Marcus Rashford has struggled with that element of it. I don't know whether it's just now. I think I've said this for a while now, that I expect PSG to come in for Marcus Rashford this summer. I don't think that opinion has changed. And I feel like it might be reaching a point where, and I'll be honest, right? I was thinking about this before. I've reached this exact point with Harry Maguire. And I said, it feels like we've reached a point where it benefits all parties if Maguire was to leave because of the sort of the tainted relationship between United fans and Maguire. I don't know the right way to describe that, but just the relationship between United fans and Maguire himself, United being able to sign someone else, Maguire moving on. It felt like for all parties it would be the right situation. And then you look at Harry Maguire this season, and I think a lot of people will be pointing towards what's going on there with Marcus Rashford and saying, well, Harry Maguire's done it, why can't you do it? So it's not a one size fits all right? And I'm very much aware of myself here that I did I did more videos about Harry Maguire at that time than I think I've done any other player. And people might have said that was abuse. I don't ever think I got personal with Harry Maguire. I was just in absolute disdain of him as a Manchester United captain and what I saw and how we were playing and how he was the captain. And it was just, it grinded me down as a fan. I honestly think this doesn't help Marcus Rashford at all. In that particular flash moment, he's basically gone, you know what? Fuck it. Send. He doesn't want to sit in silence anymore. And that's why he's done that at like 12:30 at night. Whereas, I mean, and this is the big thing as well. I thought of again as this is such a I don't know how to describe it. Just the whole situation is extremely difficult because you can all make your speculations and your interpretations. But if Marcus Rashford was to just delete social media, for example, right? And I apart from the brand exposure it gives you, I really don't see much benefit to any professional sportsman, really, to be on social media. Obviously, it makes you a brand, right? So you do it. It's part of the modern way of existing. But even if Marcus Rashford was to shut down his Twitter account, Instagram account, blah, 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 you don't think he's just going to get 100 things sent to him per day on WhatsApp. So even if he did his absolute hardest to reduce exposure to it, his WhatsApp would just be pinging 24/7. With people saying, you've seen this, you've seen that, you've seen this, you've seen that. And you wouldn't be able to get away from it. People are talking about the Jadon Sancho situation. I'd be amazed if that wasn't part of the Marcus Rashford puzzle for this season. Obviously, Sancho falling out with Ten Hag, refusing to apologise. But yeah, social media, you're witnessing here the poison that social media can be. Social media can be an incredible place, especially when Liverpool lose a 3-0 lead against Crystal Palace. Christian Ball will always be my favourite every day on Twitter. Man, that was so much fun. But largely, especially Twitter, I think Twitter's the biggest cesspit of them all. Because it's like an open forum. I don't see Marcus Rashford doing that on his Instagram account, for example. Because on Twitter, you get opened up to everybody and everything. It's like you go to a pub and you want to speak to your mates. You don't want to speak to the 7 dickheads who are at the other end of the bar. But on Twitter, everybody comes in. Everybody comes in. And you have to see and listen to all the opinions of gammons. Well, that's what Twitter is. I'm going to try and read some of your comments out down here now on Rashford. I'm sure it's going to be, some of them will be fruity, but we'll see. Roland, it's hard for a young man to get off social media nowadays. That's why most are watching. It's so intrinsically linked to society now. It is. It's social media. It's where a lot of people socialize and speak to each other. But it has its downfalls. It's got some serious downfalls, man. Rogerio saying, I don't blame Rashford. I blame the person who signed off 350k a week, putting him on unrealistic expectations. Let's not try and... We're not going to stand here and just point everywhere else and not say that Rashford shouldn't be doing some internal reflection. Because that's completely wrong. And if you do that, and if Rashford did that, that's not going to put him in a good place at all. He goes, I've done absolutely nothing wrong. This is the problem, that's the problem, this is the problem, that's the problem, this is the problem. If all these other problems were fixed, I'd be fine. That would be the wrong way to go about it. Because from a footballing perspective, Marcus Rashford has drastically underperformed this year. If I speak just about the professional aspect of what he does, when you're a footballer, you're in the spotlight. When you're a Premier League footballer, the scrutiny gets turned up a level. When you're a Manchester United Premier League footballer, the scrutiny gets turned up another level. When you're the highest earner at Manchester United, as a Premier League footballer, the scrutiny is turned up to basically max. It is max scrutiny position. And that can't be easy to deal with. And I've always thought that Rashford's not really had the right people around him, right entourage, right whispers in his ear. Thought the same thing about Jesse Lingard. You can go back to Ravel Morrison and the people that he was hanging around with at Manchester. I think he's spoken about that and how that was never a good thing. Sam, you're saying, do you think Rashford's indirectly asked for a transfer? No, I don't think so. But I really do think that, first of all, I think the offer will come in for PSG, and I really do think Manchester United will entertain it. It's not that we'll force him out the door, but I think a conversation will be had, and maybe behind the scenes, Marcus Rashford would even speak about it himself. He made it. I was speaking to my mate on WhatsApp this morning, Joey. Big up, Joey. And he was saying that like Bayern Munich would be the best place for him. He was saying that if he goes to Spain, he's just going to get crucified by the media. If he goes to PSG, it will probably enable maybe bad parts of Marcus Rashford's, not personality, but just lifestyle. Paris is all about fashion. It's all about, and maybe that, I know PSG are trying to change that with all that. They got rid of Neymar, got rid of Messi, got rid of loads of players. But still, isn't it, the fashion part of PSG is kind of intrinsically linked to the modern identity of that football club. And maybe that would bring out a bad part of him. I really, really wouldn't be surprised if Marcus Rashford gets sold in the summer. I'm going to... Alex and Tom, you gifted 5 memberships each. Let's bring out a little 10 membership gong for the pair of you. And it's not just a gong anymore.
Oh, yes! Welcome to Manchester United, Anthony Martial!
Makes me quite sad listening to that, really. Lovely chirpy conversations this morning, really. I figured out, so I'm going to try and update these all the time now. Try and get different commentaries, different things in. But yeah, I remember that one. Martin Tyler, man. I swear he only came on for like the last 6 minutes as well. Martin Skirtle sat on his ass. Got 1,000 votes on that vote in the first 15 minutes. And I said, do you think Rashford will be a United player next season? And 56% of you are saying no. And 44% of you are saying yes. So quite a tight poll. And I'm kind of not really too surprised, if I'm honest. I imagine there's going to be a lot of people sat on the fence. A lot of people that think it might be the right thing to do, might be the wrong thing to do. I think a lot of it will come down to, honestly, what Marcus Rashford wants to do. Harry Maguire in the... And again, I think parallels between the last season, the person who received most criticism, and if you want to call him a scapegoat, I don't think it's a scapegoat, but somebody who's always at the focus point. Last season was certainly Harry Maguire. This season certainly is Marcus Rashford. I just don't know whether it's gone too far for Marcus Rashford to even cope himself. And people are talking, he can go to Arsenal. But that will not change a damn thing. In fact, that will make it worse. Because any United fans will be angry that he's gone to Arsenal, and then he'll get the abuse from Arsenal. That will be like doubling down on the abuse. If he was to leave, he can't stay in the Premier League for his own sake, not for Manchester United's. There's a super chat that's been sent in there. Let me read this out. Akil saying that's why Rashford needs to go. He's in the same WhatsApp group as Pogba, Lingard, and Sancho. It's nice that you're on his WhatsApp, Akil. Can you let me in? Must be good fun. Russell, you saying Bayern would be better for him? Strict rules can't rock. Well, Harry Kane's there as well. It's interesting, man. Sometimes change is a good thing. That is right, Joe. But I think the fact that, as I said, go back to the beginning, I think the fact that Marcus Rashford's tweeting that at 12:30 at night, I don't know, man. Seems he's not checked out, but he's lashing out is the wrong way to describe it as well. It's just that he's clearly had enough and feels like he needs to fight back against it. Now, as I said, I'm going to try and succinctly cover all of my opinion and that side of it. I'm going to do some more research into exactly what's happened this season. We can put it in all sort of an actual timeline, and I'll do that for my lunchtime video. But let's move on to the next talking point. If I can I please ask you to drop a like on the video? It'll make a big, big difference. And the next talking point I want to go through, and there's still loads to go through in this show today, by the way. We're speaking about Dougie Freedman, we're speaking about Erik ten Hag, banning journalists, more moves from Ineos to stop our club wasting money, and then we're going to be going through the Burnley preview, which is now going to be, you asked for it, I'm going to be doing it in the live shows because I'd rather leave that space for more of an in-depth video at lunchtime. Kenny, you're saying Rashford should be sold. He's overpaid. His true level is mid-tier. If we can get more than 80 mil, snatch the money with both hands. I mean, I don't agree with that comment. Overpaid? Yeah, I do agree with that part of it. That's not his fault, I suppose. But it's just United's fault. Man, Martial's on 250 a week, man. Like, come on. Loads of United players are overpaid. Guy got 30 goals last year. And people like to... Oh, it was a purple patch. Like, guys, like, do you know what a purple patch is? A purple patch is not form over a 38-game season. That is the opposite of a purple. A purple patch is Jesse Lingard winning Premier League Player of the Month in January. That's a purple patch. A purple patch is not an entire season. So he was completely right last season. And he's completely wrong this season. And something has happened. I suppose we'll find out in the goodness of time. But it may well be that he leaves. I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm not just saying that as a consequence of that. But let's move on to this talking point, because I think this is an interesting one. I've spoken about Dan Ashworth there at the start of the show. I've spoken about, all of Ineos' changes. And Dougie Freedman is somebody who I've done a video on. Dougie Freedman is, when it comes to talent ID in the Championship, and I've mentioned this a few times now, there really are nobody better. Or really is nobody better, should I say. Now, you might be saying, well, hold on, Sam. What are we doing looking in the Championship? What Man United need to do is become a much smarter football club. And that doesn't mean looking at who plays for City or who plays for Arsenal. Maybe we can poach one of them. No, we have to be able to spot talent. And that's what Dougie Freedman is good at. Of course, Championship might just be the focus point of where he's looking with Crystal Palace, but maybe it's someone else. This is an interesting one. This is from David Ornstein in a Q&A yesterday. He was asked when Omar Barada is leaving, is going to complete his gardening leave, and also asked about the recruitment role. And he said Barada starts in mid-July, and I could see another appointment in the area you suggest. So David Ornstein, well, he's not saying, oh, we're definitely getting ahead of recruitment, Jobby, right? But he's saying that he could see Manchester United signing ahead of recruitment. And maybe Dougie Freedman. And you want to tie this all back in. Maybe this is all part of the Newcastle and Man United friction. Because Dougie Freedman is on a shortlist to become Dan Ashworth's replacement as their sporting director. At the same time as Manchester United are looking at Dougie Freedman for a head of recruitment role. And maybe I'm putting two and two together here, all right? So I'm not saying it's completely true. But maybe that's part of the ongoing tensions between Newcastle and Man United, for the fact that maybe they're going after Dougie Freedman as a replacement for Dan Ashworth, but we're also going after Dougie Freedman to join Dan Ashworth, who we've already taken from Newcastle. So maybe we'll be able to get Newcastle's sporting director and their replacement sporting director both come to our club. I don't know whether... Sam, you're saying you'd rather go for Ashworth. This isn't Ashworth or Freedman. This is Ashworth and Freedman. This is Dan Ashworth as sporting director, Jason Wilcox as technical director, and Dougie Freedman as head of recruitment. Now, the question is, and I think I've said this before, would I expect Dougie Freedman to leave it? He's currently sporting director, so he's Dan Ashworth's role at Manchester United. Would he be willing to leave that at Crystal Palace to come to Manchester United to be head of recruitment, which is a lesser role in scope and responsibility, but a much bigger role because you're now not in Crystal Palace, you're at Manchester United. Bernard, you're asking, Sam, can you clarify what each role does that is different? Well, CEO is your chief executive officer. He's the man at the top of the hierarchy. He's the big boss. You knock on his door, he's in control of the overall vision of the club. This is where the club is now. In 5 years' time, I want to get here. I'm in charge of making sure all that happens. Your sporting director, who's going to be Dan Ashworth, comes in and he sees himself in the middle of the wheel. He makes sure that everybody in the sporting departments have all got what they need. Do you have everything you need to work? He makes sure that everybody is well-oiled. Probably can get a better phrase than that. That's Man City's job. But he's the man that enables the whole sporting department to have everything they need to be able to execute the vision that Omar Barada has. Jason Wilcox, technical director. Now, remember that Darren Fletcher was a technical director before. But a technical director, he's actually getting his hands dirty now because Dan Ashworth's not here. He's the one doing the audit of Ten Hag. He's the one saying, right, this is going to be our style of play. Already spoken to Ratcliffe and Barada and Nash. This is going to be our style of play. And he's getting his hands dirty. The technical director, I believe, he'll work on a bridge between the academy and the first team, because of course he was City's academy director and he was Southampton. So I don't actually know the exact scope of the technical director role, if I'm being completely honest. But we'll figure that out. And the head of recruitment sells itself. So there is technically space for a head of recruitment, but also you could see Ashworth, Wilcox and Barada doing it together. But there would be space. I've tried to explain it, and I still haven't really been able to explain it. It's a little bit confusing. Let me make sure I didn't miss any super chats down here. No, I didn't. Right, okay. Calster be saying, hoping we get Ashworth by June if the case is what? No, honestly, everybody, just forget about Dan Ashworth coming in before the summer. I'll be amazed if it happens. I will be amazed if it happens. Robert, you're saying it down there. I actually haven't even thought about that, but that's completely correct. Look at that. I can't point to it. It's over there. 399,000 subs. We're less than 1,000 away from 400,000. And that'll be awesome. So if you can, please do subscribe. Become part of the gang. Because it's going to be fun over this summer. I mean, there's still so much. This is going to be I told you today was a busy show. 40 minutes in and I've still got all these tabs open. I saw this. Let's try and blast through some of these. Man United staff dismayed about as the club cuts the FA Cup final perks. Read this, right? This is what Man United This is what Man United gave out for free last year, but Ineos have gone, nah, mate, you're not having that. In the past, the 1,100 strong workforce would receive free tickets with senior staff and directors able to take family and friends, plus travel to and from Wembley, a pre-match lunch, an after-match party, and hotel accommodation. Mate, that is a jaunt. That is a party. You get train down there for free. You get pre-match grub, game, post-match grub, post-match party, and a hotel for 1,100 people. Sod knows how much that will cost. But that is like the Christmas party of all Christmas parties. Say, for example, that all the tickets themselves will cost somewhere between... They're about... Mate, my mate Chris put in a FA Cup final application today. I'm going to do this as a comment. How much do you think it was for 5 tickets? To put in, there's different levels you can do it at. Oh, there's no point, actually. 515 quid, I think it was. Either way, that's definitely going to be in the millions. For that. And they are pissed. Because this has changed. Staff received an email saying they would only receive 1 ticket each. Completely fair. Completely normal. And would have to pay £20 for coach travel to and from Wembley on the day of the game. All the other benefits are gone. So still, you get 1 free ticket. So for 20 quid, you'll go to and from the FA Cup final. Here's your ticket, and you get free travel. That's more than reasonable. That's a free day out. That's a free day out to the FA Cup final. Exactly that, Sam. No more freeloaders. What do you mean we don't get the dinner before? No, what do you mean we don't get the lunch before, the dinner after, the after party, and a hotel to crash in? What do you mean we don't get that? Shut up. But you look at this and you go, mate, no wonder our club financially is in the pits. Like, that's just irresponsible spending. You can spend that big and that lavishly if you make enough money. If you're doing well enough. Nah, not when you're doing crap. And these are the marginal gains that we're going to get. Say by doing that, Ineos have probably saved somewhere in the region of 1 to 2, call it 1 to 2 million. Cool. That's 1 to 2 million. Make that same sort of saving across 10, 15 different areas of a business. You do the maths. All of that's really going to add up. And if the staff are still offended that they get, for 20 quid, you can go to the FA Cup final, including your travel to and from Wembley. Yeah, if you're still offended by that, then you can go and get another job. You can go and get another job. Akash, thank you very much for gifting 5 memberships. And my main man, Casemiro's got a message.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello.
I'm not sure I'm ever going to get bored of hearing that. Is that stuck on screen? Stupid thing. Sometimes it gonna work. Sometimes. Oh God, it's all going wrong. Gongs are off. Oh, we've got an extra one. All right, can you just leave? Stupid gong. It was all working fine now. I know, I shouldn't have switched the screen. For goodness sake. It's all busted. Oh, well, never mind. Right. Anyway, sod staff if they're angry about that. And I tell you what. Oh, God, what have I done here? What have I done? The gongs are going off everywhere. Right, mate, sod the gongs. Right, the gongs are off now. Gongs are off. I thought I was happy. I thought I got it all working, and I've ruined it. Anyway, Bruno, right? This. Casemiro has broken the gong. Arsehole. I saw this video yesterday. Oh, my God. It's because the gong's on every scene. Right, there we go. Gong off. Yeah, gong off. Right. Anyway, I'm sure you saw this video yesterday on the overlap.
Yeah, I think it's something in the dressing room. I feel like when you speak about like recovery runs, work ethic, like that's what comes from running for your mate and everything else. And then you see Bruno, someone misses a chance, his hands are in the air. Like
I think Bruno's frustrated. Jill,
you don't do that if you're
Bruno's
together.
a winner. Yeah, but Jill, Bruno's a winner. Whatever we say, he's got his, no, one second. He's got his fault where you see him doing that. But I think
he's won nothing in his career.
He's not one of his.
He's won nothing in his career. He's 29 years of age. He's won nothing.
He's the kind of player that is trying. He probably.
What's he won in his career? What's he won in his career?
I don't know what he's won now.
He's won very little, by the way.
In respect of wanting to be a winner, his standards are high. And let's face it, take Bruno out of Man United right now. We're talking about players who have improved or haven't.
He's one of the ones that he's a talent.
The fact that I'm sitting here watching Ian Wright defend Bruno Fernandes more than anybody else and more than Roy Keane is, first of all, is just a bit of a weird one. Where do you all stand on this, first of all? The first thing I want to say is this, right? Keane said, do you know how... Man, I love Roy Keane I loved Roy Keane as a player. And I love a lot of what he says as a pundit. But he is so completely wrong in that bit there. It's unreal. Oh, he's won nothing in his career. Okay, Roy. So that you're telling me Harry Kane is a crap footballer then? By your own logic and measure, Harry Kane is irrelevant because he's won nothing. That's the argument that you'll get from somebody down the pub who doesn't really have much to say to you, but they've got a trump card in their mind and they're just going to keep shouting at it and repeating it at you. No matter what you say, oh, what's he won though? He's won nothing. And you say something completely different and they go, oh, what's he won though? He's won nothing. And they'll keep repeating it and repeating it. Bruno Fernandes, I'm actually going to do, you know, the little mini docs that I've been doing on the channel. I'm going to do one on Bruno Fernandes. I did a video, you'll remember, I think it was a couple of months ago, and I said Bruno Fernandes is like the most disrespected, one of the most disrespected footballers in the league. I'm going to go a step further than that. I'm seeing so much discourse around Bruno, and I'm ready to sort of like load the shotty up and defend my captain because I think he's worth defending. Like that story there. Bruno Fernandes broke his right hand against Coventry. You saw him playing with strapping on. If you haven't, go and watch there's a little video from the Stretty end of his pass to Højlund for Højlund's goal, and then Højlund comes over to celebrate. Watch Bruno with his hand. You'll see how much he pulls his hand away from people. He's keeping it. He broke his hand against Coventry. Still played against Sheffield United. Scored twice. Got a goal. Got an assist. Do you have any idea how many problems we have at this club? I could honestly, if you gave me 10, 15 minutes, I could list down, I reckon, between 15 and 30 different problems at our football club before I'd even mention Bruno Fernandes' name. Yet there's still so much energy and negativity against him. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. And that's kind of how I felt about this whole Bruno discourse this whole time. And it's only seemingly getting stronger. And like, have you seen? I'll save it all for the video. I've got plenty of energy for this one, so I'll save it for that video. Keane didn't dismiss his ability. He said he's a fabulous footballer. He's dismissed him being called a winner. In that particular clip, yeah. I think that's... No, he didn't dismiss him being called a winner. In fact, no, I just don't think Roy Keane's right on this one. If I'm being honest. I just don't think he's right. Anyway, there's still a lot to talk about. 53 minutes into the show. I told you today was going to be a busy one. All right, we've still got map day, and I've got a real surprise for anybody who sticks around for the map. This will make you laugh. It made me laugh. But anyway, let's speak about Erik ten Hag, because I like this, right? Erik ten Hag refusing to take questions from journalists who are critical of him, critical of the form, critical of the reaction to Coventry. I will always like seeing our manager, whoever that may be, swinging back at the press. I pretty much, even like right to the end with Mourinho, right, with anybody, I will always stand with my manager when he comes out swinging. I think it's a good thing. Like, the press get free reign and free swings 24/7 against managers, against the club, against anything. And what game was it before? Can't remember. Who was it? Luckhurst, Rob Dawson. Was it David McDonnell? Can't remember David McDonnell. I think it was another one as well. They were all banned from a press conference for one game. I always like it, man. I always like seeing our manager go back against anything. Ornstein again was asked about the latest on him, and there's no decision yet. There's nothing, it's not going to be the case for a few weeks at the very least, because Jason Wilcox has come in and he's started to do his own audit. You know, in the same way that Dave Brailsford has been Dave Brailsford has come in, and you're now seeing the consequences of Dave Brailsford's audit of Manchester United going, well, what the hell is that cost there? What do you mean? So, wait, 1 second. Last season, the FA Cup final, every employee of Manchester United was sent to Wembley, their travel paid for, their tickets paid for, directors could bring friends and family too, and they had a pre-match lunch, a post-game lunch, an after-party, and they all got hotels. Nah, mate, that's not happening this year. That's the consequences of Dave Brailsford's audit, looking at the books. And with Ten Hag, the audit of his ability as a manager is currently under scrutiny. Because we can all say, it's just not worked this year. And we can all have our opinions on injuries and stuff like that. But Jason Wilcox needs to find out, is how bad United have been this year down to injuries, down to mitigating circumstances, or is there something deeper going on at Carrington that maybe that nobody really knows about? Has Ten Hag lost relationships with players? That's what he's going to do it. Hey, Deb Polo, yeah, mate, if I swear, remember the Glazers? Abraham, it literally looks like he's stuck between. It's like if a human had sex with a rat, you get Abraham Glazer. How has not one member of his family gone, mate, can you just shave that mullet off? I know, it's not even a mullet, it's like a rat tail. I don't know what it is. It's like he lost a dare and it's still stuck on the back of his head. How has not one concerned member of his family gone, you should probably get rid of that, mate. Really, really should. Anyway, really, really should. I can't wait till they're not at our club anymore, man. Look, we haven't even done the preview for the game yet. I told you it was going to be a busy one, and we've got the map to do after this too. If you can, please do drop a like on the video. But Burnley, right? People might look at this game against Burnley and go, man, look at that. You're playing two teams who are bottom of the league table. Nothing but... by the way, down there, Carl, I can see you down there, mate. You're deleting comments about people sharing emojis that are laughing. Don't worry about deleting those, man. If people are laughing and they're enjoying themselves, don't worry about the emojis, all right? The only reason I say that don't spam emojis is if it's for a bad reason. But people who are enjoying themselves, then hey, let people enjoy themselves. I should probably just let you know that. But technically playing the bottom two teams in the table, great couple of games. But Burnley's form, they've only lost one in the last 7. And Sheffield United were down and out when we played them, right? You can see the table there. Well, you can't see it now. You can see the table here. Burnley were 7 points behind. Sorry, Sheffield United was 7 points behind Burnley. Yeah, they were already dead and buried. Burnley are 3 points away from safety. And they play Nottingham Forest as well before the end of the season, which is a huge game. So Burnley are still very much involved in a relegation scrap. This game will not be the same as it was against Sheffield United. They won't be sitting off us and us having 83% of possession in the first half of the game. All right? That's just not going to happen. Tony is saying, we can't take any game for granted. Chris, I think Sheffield United do go down if they lose this weekend, and they're going to lose. They're going to go down. Burnley is going to be a relegation scrapper. They know full well there's 4 games, and if they get the results they need in these last 4 games, Burnley will be a Premier League team next season. No matter how crap they've been this season, they have a chance. And I'm worried about that. It's always hard, as Russell says down there, it's always hard to play teams who genuinely have got a fight for survival. So if this was the team that we played against Sheffield United, what changes would you make? Now, an interesting one, I would say, an interesting conversation to have is this, first of all, right? Anthony. Because I think when Ahmad came on, it's at Old Trafford, by the way, it's not a Turf Moor. We beat them 1-0. Johnny Evans pass over to that Bruno volley. Oh, bueno. Anyway, can't believe I remembered that. I would say on paper, Ahmad, because Ahmad's from a technical perspective, when we played against Sheffield United there in the first half, it would have been really helpful to have Ahmad starting that game because they went with the low block, and he has far more ability to find spaces and he's better with the ball at his feet. And then I think, well, if this game's really going to be a scrap, and it will be a scrap, because Burnley are fighting for relegation, then you might say that Anthony would probably be a better player to start with in this game and to bring Ahmad on. And I'll be honest, I think I can see Erik ten Hag doing that. Anthony is more of a scrapper. He's more of a fighter. Ahmad's more technical. He'll get pushed off the ball a little bit easier. I think the bigger issue is probably this man. Is Eriksen. I don't think you can play Christian Eriksen in this game. Just personal opinion. Well, you could play him. I don't think you can start him. And if he's fit, I think you're probably looking at that. Of course, it depends whether McTominay's fit or not. Now, I'm going to go down here and see what you're saying about Anthony in the comments. Anthony will track back at least. I just think, given how... Of course, somebody who might be back for this game, right, is Mason Mount. We've got the Ten Hag press conference, I think, at 1:30 today, don't we? So we'll find out whether he's fit. But even after Mason Mount returned, I don't think Mason Mount started one game for United, and he still bloody got injured. I personally think we'll see Anthony start this game and Ahmad come on rather than the other way around. Personal opinion, right? Just personal opinion. Do you think McTominay will start him? I think, look, defensively, I mean, it seems to be all right. I say all right. We conceded 3 against Coventry. We conceded 2 against Sheffield. So we conceded 5 goals in 2 games with those 2 as 2 centre-backs. I think Maguire's probably our form player at this moment. If you were to say 1, 2, 3... Oh, actually, that's a lie. Bruno's number 1, form-wise. Maguire's number 2. Who's our third form player? Delo? I don't know. Probably Delo. I think that's probably the midfield I'll go for. Some of you are saying Mainu. Andrew's saying Onana. Onana up until that. Like, as I said in my match reaction, that mistake that Onana made against Sheffield United, for me, was the sorts of mistakes I was expecting to see a lot more from him this season. So I wasn't losing my shit. I was like, it was a poor pass, right? But that's kind of the occupational hazard of playing with a goalkeeper who plays out from the back with the ball. Making like fumbling shots that you shouldn't fumble, that is unforgivable. That's stuff that I was really angry about. And maybe it depends if Garnacho's fit. If Garnacho's not fit, what happens? Rashford, I don't think Rashford will come in. Yeah, Ross, I didn't watch Brighton yesterday. Well, I was at Families for dinner. I was at Families for dinner. But I don't know what to expect. What's your predictions? Fire your predictions in the comments. Oh, man. Nuruddin. How you doing, dude? How you doing, man? I've got to get this gong scene working again now. Get off my screen, you stupid gong. Because I want to press 50 and see if this comes up. I pressed it. Nuruddin's gifted 50 memberships, man. Let's see what happens. Will it work?
5, 4,
well, it seems to be working.
2, 1.
I'm a massive fan of United People's TV. And yes, once again, we have had somebody gift 50 memberships to others. Okay? They have gifted 50 memberships to others. You know who you are. It's a massive show of generosity. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for being such a giver, really. And we can't thank you enough. And, you know, I bet someone said to you, you don't have to do that, but you said,
It worked. I don't know why that's stuck on screen though. Nuruddin. Someone just called you Tony Stark in the comments. I think that's pretty fair. That's the closest one we've had so far. Legend. I don't know what to say anymore. You really know. You really know I don't. I'm going to try and keep getting new videos and new little ways and new fun things to do with the gifted memberships because I think it's awesome. Thank you very much, dude. But Barry's back. Barry's back. Now, can I just say, everybody, this might be one of my favourite things that has ever been done for United People's TV. In fact, one sec. Let me go back here and actually look at the score and what I said first. Let me see what you're saying. 4-1 to United, says Beastie. Man, there's no chance of that. Brian, you're saying 3-1. Andrew, you're saying 2-1. What else are you saying down there? 4-3 United win, says Kenny. I don't know. What would my prediction be? Honestly, I could see this being a high score draw. I hope United... I think it will be one of those games that United pip if we do win. I don't think it surprised me. It's very, very much surprised me. Although it was frustrating against Sheffield United and we went behind twice, we won the game pretty comfortably, really. I'm thinking like a 3-3 or a 3-2. Quite a few of you actually are saying down there in the comments down 3-2. Anthony, that's one of the weirdest comments. Sam, that kind of cackle you do after saying something, is that on purpose to mimic the villain from Billy Madison? Who that? I just laughed. I didn't realise I was cackling. How dare you laugh? Cackle. I ain't no witch. Now, can I just say here, it's Friday. I'm glad we're getting this in. It's an hour and 7 minutes in. This must be the longest show that I've ever done. I told you it was going to be a busy show. But there has been a present here. Big up to Steve. Because Steve, with the power of AI, we've got a map theme tune, all right? Enjoy this for next. If you don't groove out to this, well, screw you, because I am. Come on. They're tuning in. That is a jam. Steve is delivered. Come on. That's the end of it. That's the end of it. Man, AI is mad. That is a banger. From Tokyo. Anyway, where are you watching from? Big up, Steve. That is a crowd pleaser. That is a crowd pleaser. Anyway, let me know where you're watching from. City and the country. And we'll get a few of you added onto the map. Oh, man, that was fun. I enjoyed that. I told you today was a busy show. So not only we've got a jingle for map day, we've got new sounds for 5, 10, 20, and 50 gifted memberships, and a Barry video. I spent a long time on this yesterday. Constant work. But it's always fun. It's always worth it. Who have we got? We've got Blake watching from New Jersey. New Jersey! Sorry, can't say New Jersey without saying that. I want to go watch Sopranos right now. I might just quit the show. Finally got my partner, Susie, in to watch Sopranos. And we're only like 4 episodes in season 2. And she's like, So I need to get back into it. We've got Alexander watching from Ohrid. Where's that? Well, it was in Macedonia. You've written that right there. Ohrid in Macedonia. On you go, sir. Yeah, that jingle was pretty much a whole song. Map day. Yeah, there aren't many Reds in Russia. It's a big old place. Let's get one more on here. We've got Dina watching from Windhoek in Namibia. Sounds South African, that. Awesome. On the map. Who have we got on here? We've got Namibia, Macedonia, America, New Jersey, Syria. We've got Austria, Italy, England, India, Denmark, Robin. All around the world. I won't play it again. But big up to it. Man, that jingle is fun. That's the longest show I think I've ever done here on United People's TV in the morning. It's been an hour and 11 minutes. And I knew it was going to be busy, but that's longer than I thought it was going to be. Well, I covered everything. Now I've got to get my lunchtime video out. It's going to be on Marcus Rashford. It's going to be sort of my opinion. I'm going to try and do a bit of a chronological look at what's happened this season. Not going to play it again. You got to tune in next week. Man, I'm so glad I switched to this new software. You know how long it took me to switch to the software? These are the sorts of fun things I can now do that I could never do before. Apparently I've missed some super chats. Sorry, let me go down there. Alex is saying, could 3 games in a row of the same back four happen? I mean, technically it could. And unless Cam Boada's fit, then I think it probably will. But look, big up to all of you. Big old show. Enjoy your weekends. Go get drunk. Do irresponsible things. No, don't. Actually, yeah, do. I'll be here tomorrow for the match reaction. I'll be here at lunchtime today. And then let's see what sort of stories we've got for Monday, because no doubt there'll be more. Much love, everybody.